Hi, everyone. We are so happy to be here to discuss a very important topic, enabling access to better opportunities and lives for women and girls. We are proud to present Love on Their Own Terms, a conversation to celebrate girls. I'm Justin Warshaw, the CEO and Creative Director of Justin Alexander, and we are proud to partner with VOW for Girls to raise awareness about the issue of child marriage and the personal safety and prosperity of girls around the world. We are thankful for your attendance today, and our amazing panelists, Clay, Fanta, and Rebecca, will be sharing with you their involvement with VOW for Girls and how you can make a difference. I would like to first introduce you to our panelists, Clay, Fanta, and Rebecca. Clay, could you please start us off by introducing yourself?
I'm Clay Dunn. I'm the CEO of VOW for Girls. I'm based in New York, but I happen to be coming to you from Milan, Italy today as part of a work travel to talk about VOW. Who'd like to go next?
Should we pass to Fanta?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Fanta Touré. I'm the director of the Girls First Fund, sisters organization to VOW. I'm based in Philadelphia. I spend time going back and forth to Ivory Coast, where I'm from, and to Philadelphia, where I'm connecting today.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I'm Rebecca. I'm a destination wedding photographer. I'm based out of Los Angeles, but I work all over the world.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Rebecca. And Clay, can you talk to us a little bit about VOW's mission?
Yeah, for sure. So VOW for Girls is a nonprofit. It's based in the US, but we work all around the world. What we're doing is building a global community of people who are supporting girls to live lives that they love and end this international child marriage crisis. Child marriage is a really big issue around the world. 12 million girls every year are become brides. It's a girl every 3 seconds, which is a really staggering fact. So it's a really massive problem. We're building a coalition of individuals, couples who are getting married, wedding professionals like Rebecca, brands like Justin Alexander, all together to support girls. And we'll talk more in a bit about what exactly we're doing with that. But as part of this work, we're so happy to support the work that Fanta and her team do. We are, as Fanta mentioned, sister organizations. So VOW raises money and awareness, and Fanta helps give it away in local communities to directly support girls, which we'll share more about in just a little. I think it would be nice, actually, Justin, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about the partnership that we have together.
Absolutely. So, through our company history, we have always partnered with charities that, shared the same values as us, but we hadn't found a charity that really aligned with our mission. And we were introduced to VOW for Girls by mutual acquaintances. And I love the fact that VOW for Girls was about women empowerment, focusing on health, education, and personal safety. 3 very important things, obviously. And for me, in the name of my grandmother, Shirley, who co-founded the business I'm running today, we're kind of like we're partnering with VOW, and we're kind of ramping up our participation with a lot of evergreen programs. So although I never met my grandmother, she was always an inspiration and driving force for me. She was the creator of our business, and it's really important for me to empower women and try to make a positive impact on their lives. So Clay, as you know, we first partnered in 2019 with International Women's Day, where we partnered with influencers to try to raise awareness for VOW for Girls and the mission that VOW for Girls has. We hosted a roundtable to discuss important issues like child marriage, sustainability and bridal, and inclusivity. And we actually had Princess Mabel of Aranya on, talking about how she personally is involved with your organization. And she was really inspiring and shared, direct impact that she's had on, visiting these organizations. And we learned just so much from her. And from that first, roundtable that we did, we received so much positive response from our retailers, and everyone was so interested to know how they can make, a positive impact as well. But I just wanted to say, for me, I'm really passionate about this particular issue because it's so easy to get caught up, in your day-to-day. Issues that are plaguing us seem paramount, but there are so many that are less fortunate than us and don't have the same opportunities for good education, the right to choose their partners, and are in situations that are really impossible for them to get out of. So with VOW for Girls, VOW for Girls is looking to change that. And we are eager to partner with VOW in donating directly, but also in creating more awareness with organizations, because we really believe that bridal shop partners and brides alike can make a difference if they were aware of this program, and how a little bit of work can make a big difference. Generally, I feel like those that are fortunate enough to choose and determine their futures should help those that cannot. I don't know.
That's really well said. Do you mind if I say something else about that? Like, since you mentioned Princess Mabel. So Justin mentioned Princess Mabel, and for those of you who don't know, she's the founder of VOW. Like, she's a global human rights activist, and she got inspired actually at a wedding, which is one reason that we partner with the wedding sector. For a long time, Mabel had been an advocate against child marriage, helping bring international attention to the cause. And she had seen how little resources local organizations have to work and support girls directly. And she went to a friend's wedding, and they asked for donations to a cause instead of gifts. And they happened to ask for an organization that she was involved with, but who wasn't set up to take gifts from individual people. It's just wasn't their model. And so she, at this wedding, like, had this aha moment. She's like, child marriage is a really big issue. Weddings are a big convener of people. Like, there's so many weddings that happen every year. Everyone brings their like friends and family from all walks of life together. She's like, what if we could create this moment that while you're celebrating love, that we could support girls at the same time? And that's why we have such a special partnership today with the global wedding industry, like with wedding professionals like Rebecca, with brands like Justin Alexander, and with, all kinds of wedding professionals and engaged couples, and with their friends and family. So just to give you that little context of like why weddings, it might at first seem like a little bit of a disconnect, but it's actually, I think, a really genius idea that Mabel had, that here's something that everyone loves and everyone's coming together, and like, what if we could like have that moment of philanthropy around it?
Agreed. I think that's amazing, and thanks for sharing that context around it. Rebecca, I've got a question for you. Why this particular issue? Maybe you can talk to us about why you're so passionate about this particular issue, and also what led you to get involved with VOW for Girls.
Yeah, well, I think what Clay just said is exactly how I was feeling. I began my career in documentary photography, and I had spent my time at NYU when I was studying photography, learning about how photography can motivate social change. And that was always really important to me. I grew up with the idea, there's an idea in Judaism called tikkun olam, which means to heal the world. It's the idea that we're born into a very broken world, and it's the responsibility of all of us to make it a better place and to heal it. And that was very important to me. I wanted my photography I wanted to save the world. That was my hope. And I worked in the documentary space for a few years, but it wasn't quite right for me. And when I found weddings, I absolutely fell in love with them and realized that it was the perfect place for me. But it was really important to me to still have my business be something that was a positive change, that especially working in the luxury wedding industry, which I love working in so much, but it's very opulent, and there's a lot of money that goes into these beautiful large events. And I wanted to make sure that I was being still a force for change in my business, and hopefully encouraging others to do the same. And I was actually working with another organization years ago, raising funds and awareness for this very cause. And I realized, like, this is the perfect, it was not remotely wedding industry related. And I was like, this is the perfect synergy for this. And I actually, I love that you guys are called VOW, because that was the campaign name that I dreamed of. And then during I was like, it'd be so perfect for vendors to make a vow, like that. What if we all made a vow to make change, which I'll talk more about later, because I could go on for that forever. But it just seemed like this perfect synergy, that I'm so lucky to get to work in this industry that's a celebration of love and the start of a new family and a new life. And for so many people around the world, it's the exact opposite, that it's not the celebration of something new, it's the ending of something. It's the ending of freedom and their future to choose what they want. So if I could be even just a small part in making that different for people, like, why wouldn't I? And when I found VOW during the early part of the pandemic and reached out, I got so excited by everything they're doing, and everything that Fanta will speak about soon, but the amazing impact they're having, why this organization, they're structured so brilliantly, and it's so rare to get involved with something that actually makes a real impact. So I was very excited to get that opportunity.
Thank you for sharing, Rebecca. I want to now pass to Fanta and ask the same question. What led you to get involved with this organization, and why this particular issue? What makes you passionate for it?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. So if you grow up where I grew up in Ivory Coast, it's hard to turn a blind eye to social injustice. It's in your face everywhere. And I firmly believe that we all have a power and opportunity to use our privilege to sort of restore the balance in the world of social justice and how it's tipped one way or another. I was privileged and fortunate to have a mom who's born spoiled and privileged, but have a dad who grew up in extreme poverty with not enough food to eat and under horrible circumstances. And so from the get-go, I could see the reality of my cousins on the right and the reality of my cousins on the left, and navigating both worlds and seeing and feeling what was wrong firsthand when we were doing sleepovers, but also realizing that no matter if you were on the right or on the left, if you were a woman, you would have the short hands of all sticks. And so I was able to work in my calling, which has been international development. And the other thing that you learn also very quickly, if you are from the global south working on international development, is that those who control and allocate resources are not, and who get to shape programs and policies, are not necessarily the ones who are living, breathing the issue that needs to be addressed. And coming along the work that Clay supports on ending child marriage, this approach of actually following the lead of community-based organizations really resonated with me and brought me back in alignment as to why I'm doing this work. With the privileges that I have, I see myself as a connector, as someone who has access to the West and to pool of resources that I can help direct to those who are at the crust of doing the work and leading and shaping solutions to these issues in a way that's non-judgmental, because that is so important when you're working on an issue such as ending child marriage. Rebecca, I'm just curious, how do you bring this passion for VOW and for this work, for this work into your work with brides and with partners in the wedding industry?
Yeah, thank you, Fanta. I found VOW last year during the pandemic when there weren't a lot of events happening, and I wanted to find a way to bring it into my business right away. And I was in the process of working on these masterclasses for wedding photographers, and I realized that there was just this perfect synergy. I was on the phone with Clay and Elodie, who is a wonderful member of the organization as well. And I was like, oh, I'm about to launch this. This would make perfect sense to incorporate this into it, that in addition to giving back myself directly from my business, I realized that as I've been mentoring other photographers and just chatting with other people in the wedding industry in general, that a lot of people hadn't really thought about incorporating giving back into their businesses. And it wasn't because they didn't want to, it was just never occurred to them that if people don't grow up in a philanthropy situation where, you know, their parents are very philanthropic, or it's just a conversation that happens a lot, they're not necessarily thinking about it. And it's certainly not because they don't want to, it's just, again, it's a little thought, and they are probably already giving back in their personal lives, but just hadn't made it part of their businesses. And there's so many reasons to have it be part of your business, especially for us in the wedding industry, especially for, I mean, I'm so true of any photographers, planners, like we live and breathe our work. I think all of us had identity crises last year because we're so wrapped up in what we do, and it's such a part of who we are. So it's a completely natural that our businesses should have the same moral values and the same integrity that we do as people. So, you know, if you're giving back as a person, you should of course be giving back as your business. And there's so many advantages to it as well, that especially like right now, most of our brides and grooms are millennials, and millennials more than any generation ever. And then like the Zillennials who are following them even more, they're so passionate about making the world a better place. And it's, I don't know the exact statistics, but I tried to look them up, and they're very, very high of whether someone will, like what the the choice will be between choosing a company that follows their values versus doesn't. And it's sky high for how much people actually care about patronizing a business that does give back. So I incorporated it into actually into my workflow section of all my courses, that it should be right there with like making sure you have good contracts, with making sure you have an accountant, and then making sure that your business is standing by your morals and is giving back. And it's right there in all of my courses. And I support it personally from my business. I post about it on social media, and it's on my website as my little badge. And that's my hope for the future for VOW, is for that badge to be truly a badge of honor. And I think that it's on us to educate couples, but then couples should look for that badge. And if you don't see it on someone's website, that should not be a vendor you're hiring, or you should be asking that vendor, why isn't this on your website? Is it something you'd consider? So that's my hope.
I love that. I have to say, Rebecca is not only like such a leader as a photographer in the industry, but like her leadership on getting others in the industry to think about aligning with cause, like it's so good. And like, we're so thankful to be in your masterclass. So thank you.
Thanks, Clay. Fanta, I'd love to hear more about where all the money goes. What are people supporting when they're supporting VOW? Where does the Girls First Fund use this?
Yes, I will tell you more about it. But before that, I want to say a few words. I want to say a few words about the importance of supporting girls and the importance of this issue for me. And this is the way I've been I've come to think about it over the years. So if you take a step back and you think 12 million girls get married every year before they turn 18, as Clay mentioned, there's 10 million women in New York. And that's 12 million girls who get married every year. That's the number that's jarring. But then I realized that before a girl is even born into this world, so she steps into the world with a set of expectations of what her life is going to be. And those set of expectations that are determined from patriarchy hit her from the moment she comes out. Oh, she's a girl, as opposed to she's a boy. What she's going to eat, when and if she's going to eat relative to what boys and others eat in the family, what she's going to wear, where she's going to be seen, if, when, and how loud she's going to speak, how much space she's going to occupy, when she's going to go to school, for how long, if she's going to go to school, what is she going to do afterwards? Obviously, she's going to get married. And the moment she gets married, the cycle starts back again with whether she's going to have a boy or a girl, and what does that mean for survival of a community. And that is a lot, and they carry so much that I think this crux of this intersection of all of these, of where all of these issues meet, that moment of when the community decides that she's going to be married, is something that this manifestation of how all this injustice evolves is something that, if we're able to tackle and shift the power back to the girls, can go a long way towards creating a better society. And that's one of the things that get me really excited about this work that we're doing and that VOW is making possible. So we have been working over the last 3 years with community-based organizations all over the world, grassroots organizations, and that's also another thing that resonated to me when this opportunity came up, was that a lot of actors in this space talk about supporting community-driven development, but very few take the lead of the leap of faith behind aligning on the community's visions. And this is what this work does differently, is resourcing 177 community organizations across the world in 6 focus countries with ambition to go wider, to implement different strategies to end child marriage. The organizations tend to be, we support a wide range of organizations. Some of them are receiving international funding for the first time, others and work at a very local level. Others are more established organizations that do national level advocacy. The leadership of the organizations have come upon this work from different motivations. Some have started out of deep issues of trauma. Others have just been motivated to help and do good in their community. We have lawyers that are doing work on advocacy, on doing legal reform. So you find various type of people and group represented across the range of organizations that we're supporting. They all have a deep commitment to center women and girls in the way they work to end child marriage. Can I ask that we go back one more, please? Can we go back to the previous slide? Yes. So the work that is made possible with VOW support is uphold to one of the best practices in philanthropy. And for me, that is providing core, long-term, flexible funding to organizations, saying, we see you, we respect you, we will support you, not today and tomorrow in a chop kind of way. We are going to be with you as you're tackling this issue to which we're going to put an end. And we tell the partners to let us know what's the right thing to do for them to do in their community to end child marriage. One of the things that we see coming up is economic empowerment. I've heard one of our partners tell me, if a girl, and there is a lot of reasons why girls get married early, but they've said, if a girl is not in school, if she's not working, if she's sitting at home, she's either gonna get, she is gonna get married, period. She's probably going to get pregnant, or to prevent her from getting pregnant, she is going to get married. And one of the strategies that we see coming up that the partners propose, especially in areas where poverty is a driving factor towards getting married early, is economic empowerment. It's introducing girls to opportunities to make revenues for themselves so that their families don't necessarily see as a burden, so that the families can see their value and continue holding on to them. Some partners do more traditional type of skills training for the girls, so knitting, weaving, making things that they can sell. Other partners tend to try to break down traditional gender roles. So here we have a photo of partners in Niger learning how to make a table or little arts things that they will sell. We have a partner in India, for example, that's training girls on STEM and on using computer software, and then giving them internships working in companies or in cyber cafes, and therefore equipping them with skills that they need to take care of themselves. Can I get the next slide, please?
Can I say really quickly on economic empowerment? Like right before the pandemic, Fanta and I had the opportunity to travel together to Uganda. And one of the very first places we visited, they were helping girls learn how to create soaps, candles, like different kinds of cloths that they could sell. Like it was a really cool program, like giving girls an opportunity and a space to be able to make some money to support themselves, and just really amazing to see up close.
Thanks, Gary. The other thing that we do a lot is building girls' power. And actually, for me, it's always fascinating to see the overlaps and the synergies between the different programs. And that tells you something about the way women and girls organize in mostly all communities. And so when they're making soap, they get a chance to sit together, they get a chance to talk, they get a chance to bond, to establish relationships, and to support each other through stresses and troubles that they may be facing at home. And that's when they can find out that someone might be getting married and decide if they're going to do an intervention or not. And building girl power leverages a little bit that ability for women and girls to collectivize and support them. One of the ways that our partners build girls' power is by providing safe spaces to them. I know we're not supposed to have a favorite project, but one of the projects that gets me really excited is the Happy Project in the Dominican Republic. The idea is, let's girls be girls. Let's create a space where they can go, have fun, play together, do their little dance, do what girls are supposed to do. And that's what this project is in the Dominican Republic. And the sad part of it is that one of the reasons why girls get married or get in early union early in the Dominican Republic is that there isn't a lot of things to do when mothers are out of the house working in the hotel industry, etc. And so there's the risk that they get bored, there's a risk that there's poverty, and then they start getting attention from an older man, they get pregnant, and then they have to be in a union with that person. And so things that you wouldn't necessarily think about when you're looking at this kind of work from an external view, like creating opportunities for them to play, are some of the solutions that our partners come up with, and that is exciting to support. Sports is another one that helps challenge traditional gender norm, but also create a place where girls can play together and are away from the house, sometimes away from violent situations, not necessarily, but where they can just be together, play, and they can be available to receive information that is shared on their bodies, on challenges and struggles that girls face at that age. Can I get another slide, please? Thank you. So people ask me, how do you end child marriage? And before starting to work on it, this is not something that I also would have thought about, teaching self-defense, right? And what we find is that a lot of confidence building comes off through that process. We have a partner in Nepal who's teaching girls in their communities how to physically fight for themselves and negotiate their space. And that's another one of these interventions that, that gets us excited. Can I get another slide, please? So Clay and I were able to visit this partner together, and building self-confidence and self-esteem, which is another one that builds up into girls being able to negotiate their space with both their adults, their parents, but also with men around them. And this amazing woman was running a workshop in a school. She is fire. She was running a workshop in a school, having a conversation with girls and telling those girls, when I was your age, one of the reasons why I struggle is because I was beautiful and men were trying to come in my space. But you have to hold the fact that you are beautiful, you are strong, and this is some of the tools that you can use to negotiate your space when they come to you. And so we saw these girls repeating words of affirmation. We saw these girls laughing and giggling, and it was very inspiring for me.
Crazy inspiring. So good.
Yeah. Can I this education? So if you go to hard studies that have been conducted on what it takes to end child marriage, education is the one that will come top. Keeping girls at school for a long time, as long as possible, is a guaranteed way, almost as guaranteed can be, but it's one of the surest way to delay the age of marriage. We love sending girls in school, increasing access, promoting retention, addressing a lot of the reasons why girls don't go and stay in school in the first place. Is some of the work that our partners are doing. What we're challenging, though, is looking at child marriage at ending child marriage as delaying the age of marriage, because it's a much more deeper issue than that. Beyond delaying the age of marriage, we want strong girls who can negotiate when, if, and with whom they can get married, but who can also go into a marriage to live their best life if that's what they decide to do. And that's why education is one of the strategies that the partners use, but not necessarily the only one. Can I get another one? Advocacy and legal reform. We have some partners. We have a fantastic partner in Uganda who's a lawyer, and she's been working on legal reform to make sure that the law is more gender sensitive and to make sure that cases of very young girls being forced into marriage and essentially being raped or persecuted when they need to be persecuted. You find that there's a lot of corruption in the criminal justice system that makes it easy for men who prey on young women to get away with a slight tap on their wrist when they get caught or when they push back. The other great thing that we've seen is partners working on legal reform or bylaws sitting at the community level where legal law, national law is not necessarily informed, and talking with the communities around community bylaws. We know that it's not good to marry our daughters early. So what happens to someone in the community who decides that they can do it? And it's coming with local solutions and things, again, that I wouldn't have thought about sitting here in Philadelphia. One of them being, if somebody marries their daughter early, they're no longer allowed to make a decision on a high-level community problem. And that is directly calling to men who are powerful and who make that kind of decision in the community, and something that they can be completely being discredited and losing their reputation is something that they can completely be accountable for within their community. We have some partners are doing advocacy work at a national level so that there can be a national strategy to end child marriage, and so that local voices are heard in the process. Can I get the next slide, please? Another one also that comes a lot is work around sexual and reproductive health and rights. And this is part of the field. This photo was taken in Uganda as part of the field visit that Claire and I did together. And this woman, she's a gynecologist. She was teaching young women about their bodies. And it sounds simple, but many girls don't. There's a horrific story that I've heard of in Niger, and actually boys tend to have more information about the body than girls, as always. And there's a horrific story that I heard of in Niger, where this group of boys were going around telling the girls that you are born with two hymens, I think that's how it's called in English. And so if you have sex and there's the father hymen and there's the mother hymen. And if you have sex for the first time, you only lose one of them. And it's not a big deal because nobody will find out and you have that other hymen. So girls would have sex and then would get pregnant and then would be forced to be married early. And it's just a matter. And what the lesson in the story is that the more girls know about their bodies, the more they can negotiate. They can negotiate and protect themselves in the context that they will evolve in at any given age. And so interventions such as that, where they're given access to information, to tools, to knowledge, we found go a long way. Not to mention that there are also the cases where a girl will decide to a family or a girl will decide to enter into a marriage early for a lot of reasons, but once she knows how to control her conception, when and if and how she gets pregnant, she gets a chance to hold on to her childhood for a little bit longer. Can I get the next slide, please? One of the things that we're doing more and more is engaging non-traditional allies in the work. So as much as we center girls and as much as the majority of our partners, 90% of them are women-led organizations, because of the nature of this issue, we think it's very important to engage traditional gatekeepers or religious leaders who have a tremendous power of influence in the communities where they work. And it's been fascinating to work with some very, with a feminist interfaith religious leaders organizations in some countries. In other countries, they're a little bit less progressive, but because they have this platform that you just cannot go around with in the community, if you're trying to build a set of allies around girls that will help them live a better life, it's been quite enriching for us and our partners to continue engaging with those allies and figure out how we can tap into, leverage their power to build into longer term change. I could speak for years about it, so I'm just going to stop and see where your questions take us. Clay, I don't know if you want to add something or if there's something that I've missed that you think should be mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, there are two things that I think I would underscore for those who are listening and like learning about this work for the first time. Like, one is like we're building this incredible network of these local organizations, right? Like, and you mentioned the numbers earlier, but to underscore them again, it's like in these first couple of years, 177 organizations in 6 countries, and you know the idea is more money we raise, more places, more girls impacted, more organizations supported. And that, you know, I think you so beautifully brought together the sort of diversity of the profile in terms of the portfolio, in terms of like what the organizations are doing and how they're supporting girls. You know, one thing that Fanta and I have done together is look at these investments that are being made in communities around the world. Because one question that people sometimes ask is like, what's it cost to do this work? And, you know, as we look across the kinds of things that are being supported and sort of, you know, looking at the sort of average costs of things, like we see, for instance, that in a lot of the countries that we work, like $47 can support a girl's school fees for an entire year. So that's like, it gives you a sense of like how far some of the money goes, or that $154 can support a girl to take part in one of these leadership clubs for an entire year. They're being run, you know, separately from school. So, you know, like starts to give you a sense of like how your donations and your personal support can add up to support girls. I am actually going to ask Fanta one question that I saw pop up, which is like, how do you think about the overall impact of this work? Like, how do you,
Yeah. We've mapped things out. We took, and that's another reason why I was so excited about this organization and this work, is because we took 1 year during which we said, we're going to resource organizations and we're going to just listen to them. We'll see how they define success. We'll see what ending child marriage looks like in their communities. And then we will set them up for success. We will provide grants, we'll provide accompaniment, and accompaniment comes in a lot of forms. It's like learning opportunities. It's a staff person from the country who's sitting there with them and who's holding their hands, who's meeting with them. It's connecting them, as Clay mentioned, bringing them, fostering really a community of grantees that are doing complementary work and that can lean on each other and work in safety towards ending this issue. And so we have mapped out what ending child marriage would look like. And we are approaching this not from a punitive posture at all. What we want to avoid is saying, oh, but you said that 4 people were going to attend the workshop and that's not happening. We are looking with them at the results, at what works and what doesn't work, and helping them achieve these objectives. So some of the things that we've started seeing, for example, and that we are in continuous dialogue with them and that they exchange strategy on with each other, is more girls in certain communities have enhanced ability to negotiate with their parents when they're going to get married. And we're seeing some more of these cases that are happening. We have at least one community where the community made a public declaration to announce that there was zero tolerance for the practice and it will not happen again. And that is a really big deal, because you make a public statement like this as a village leader, as a community leader, you are held on to accountability and to your word. We have seen our partner organizations becoming more connected. We have seen girls staying in school longer. We have seen communities shifting around certain things. So, for example, in India, we had some girls who could not play and could not participate in the sports because they were supposed to wear the hijab and be covered at all times, and it didn't work for them. So it took the girls in the sports club or organizing and pleading to the families of these girls. And now it's not a big deal that a girl with a hijab is running around in the community playing football. So these are small changes that will aggregate over the years to lead into ending child marriage, and that we're continuing to measure. And these are the soft learning that the grantee partners are very excited about. And then we have like the heavy math. We're partnering with Pop Council, and we're doing, for those of you who are into serious research, they're doing qualitative and quantitative research, mixed method in 3 of the countries where we're working, and they're looking at changes in communities and looking at communities where we're not doing work, so they will be able to compare, and they will be able to speak in a very heavy way about the specific roles that CBO plays in ending child marriage. We're going to do a baseline, a midpoint evaluation, and then an endpoint evaluation. And we are really excited to share what they'll find, because we know what they'll find.
Yeah, totally. That's so great. Awesome.
So, I mean, first of all, I think it's tough to follow Fanta up. All you just shared was mind-blowing, and it's unbelievable the work that you're doing, that VOW for Girls is doing. I wanted to ask Rebecca, because Rebecca, you've kind of incorporated a lot of this into, your work. How, for those of us, or for the members that are participants that are watching this here, how can they make a positive impact?
Yeah, so there's a million ways to do it. I think it really starts with this being as I said earlier, I want to make that vow like that badge of honor. And I think it starts a lot of couples' first touch point with this organization will be through the bridal shops, which I think it's so great that you're doing this and that this is here, that seeing it through the bridal shops will be like their first point of learning about it. And then, they're supporting it at that first base, and then from there they're looking for vendors who are incorporating it in their business. They learn about that badge, and then they're starting, it's confirmation bias. They want to start seeing that badge everywhere, and knowing that badge should be the prerequisite for the rest of the vendors that they're searching for, which often finding the dress is one of their first steps. So starting at that process, starting it there, is such an easy way to learn about it. And then brides and grooms can incorporate it in a lot of different ways. There's charity registries, which I think will just become more and more popular, especially after the last year that we've had. I think there's been a lot I've seen with my couples, a lot of like reimagining what a wedding is and what a celebration is and what this all means to them. And I think that having a charity registry, either in addition or in lieu of, like so many, especially like the millennial generations, like we're getting married later, we already have a house full of stuff, we don't need more plates, and there's a lot of other good things that money can do. Or if you need your plates or your honeymoon registry, you can do both. They don't have to be in lieu of each other, but that VOW has amazing infrastructure already set up that you can find through their website. And I'm sure reaching out with Clay or Mary Catherine, just going to the website, you'll find more information about it. You can set up a registry directly with them to create a fundraiser that you can put right on your wedding website and get involved from there. And industry can do the same. We can reach out. VOW already has set up an easy way to become a VOW Pro Plus member, which that little plus means that being a VOW Pro, you're pledging to the world and saying that this is an organization that you care about, and you're raising awareness. When you get that little plus, it means that you're putting your money where your mouth is, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a really small amount. When we look at the number of couples that are getting married next year, they're saying it's the most like ever in American history. They're saying over 2.5 million weddings will be taking place just here in America. That imagine that if every one of those couples like just gave, sorry, I think my dog is about to start barking, please ignore her. If every one of those couples just gave like $10 can you imagine $20? Like, imagine the impact that that could have so quickly. So as a couple, whether you're giving a small amount on behalf of yourself, whether you're pledging that as part of your larger wedding registry, favors are a great way to do that. You can easily, how many times do we get these little silly favors that I've photographed a million of them that our couples, we put a lot of time and energy and then they tend to get thrown out pretty quickly. So instead, if you're putting like even just $5 per, like for every guest to an organization like this, and you're having an 100 guest count, that's $500. Could you imagine what $500 per wedding times 2.5 million would do? That, like, those numbers just become astronomical. So
there's you think, Rebecca?
big dreams. I mean, there's so much that can be done for so little that most of couples are spending more than $5 per favor for their guests. So there's, and that's something that they're going to remember in a way that, the beer cozy might get forgotten. So there's so many different ways. And as a vendor, reaching out to VOW, getting that little plus that you can put on your business, that little badge. And for some vendors, it might be donating per, if you're a bridal shop, it could be per dress, it could be per month, it could be hitting certain price points. As a photographer or planner, it could be per client, or you could just make a yearly donation and just pledge, like, no matter where I'm at, this is what I feel comfortable giving. And that can go up as your revenue goes up over the years. There's lots of different ways to do it. But they say the best way to get started is to get started. You got to just put one foot in front of the other, and the problem can seem really big. So it can seem like, what is my little like $5 going to do? But again, if 2.5 million people give that $5, makes a big impact quickly.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Justin, I'd love to hear about what your future efforts, that we've heard about what you've already done. I'd love to hear what's up next for you guys.
And I'd like to share that, but I want to ask Clay, because you mentioned a badge. You mentioned like there's an easy way, like a widget or a badge that can be uploaded. And I think we actually have one on our website, because I'm going to get into that in a moment, Rebecca, like how all the different ways we're looking to try to raise money for these amazing causes. Clay, can you tell me how, a bridal vendor or a photographer or a couple could get involved and get that information from you guys?
Yeah, it's super easy. If you go to vowpro.org, there's a really simple sign up there. Doesn't cost anything. You drop your email in, and you get a package of materials that then you can use. Getting that badge that Rebecca talked about, you can integrate it into your social media, onto your website, anywhere that your business shows up. And we're developing new tools all the time. So it's a great and growing community there. We have pro members now in 16 countries around the world, which is really exciting. And I'm really hoping, because I know we have a lot of people from the US, I'm really hoping by the end of this year, we have a pro in all 50 states. So
we're going to help you
sign
get
up,
there.
Please.
We're going to
I know, I need to count out how far away we are. We're going to start knocking on doors.
That's great. Yeah, so Rebecca, I'm going to now jump in and kind of share a little bit about what we're doing. Like I said, we want to be an ongoing partner to VOW, and we're looking to create programs that just raise money throughout the year. Fanta made a good point. It's not about just one donation and then forgetting about it and, hoping that money goes a long way. It's about being an ongoing partner and remembering about VOW for Girls, continuing to raise awareness and continuing to raise funds to really support these very important, the important mission. So it really all starts today with our ongoing partnership. We've already shared that us, along with the Knot and a private donor, we're going to be donating $1 for every like, share, and comment of the collateral that I think we can make available also in this chat, just so you can see all the great collateral we created to raise awareness about this. So again, we'll be making $1 donation for every like, share, and comment. And then we're also looking, tomorrow we're launching our Justin Alexander Signature Fall Winter 22 collection, and we're going to be opening up our trunk show booking calendar. And we've decided to donate $10 for every appointment booking for a Justin Alexander signature trunk show. So it's just, it's pretty easy for a bride to make an impact. They don't even have to buy a dress. They just need to book and attend an appointment at one of our partner stores. So it's pretty easy for them. It's just about getting out of their homes and into a store for one of these events. So I think that's pretty easy. I want to also share, Rebecca, you brought up how stores can get involved. And I think that's a good point, because stores, as you said, are the front lines. They're always the ones working with the brides and really communicate some of these great things. We have a store, the Bridal Collection Denver, who proactively had reached out to VOW just to discuss how they might be able to get involved. And they actually committed to donate $90 per dress purchased over the course of the weekend. This weekend is actually a Justin Alexander trunk show at their store. They have a target of actually of donating 25 education packages. So super exciting. And they kind of did the math on it. I think it's about $181 for a full year of education that includes enrollment, books, uniform, and transportation for a girl. So that's unbelievable. So they're looking to donate 25 packages. For them, that would be about 50 dresses, which is it's a big target, but I know the Bridal Collection and I know that they can do it. So I'm super excited about seeing where they come up. We're also making a donation with them to kind of sponsor their event as well. But other retailers, it's really easy to do this. And like Clay said, you can just either reach out to them or visit that website to kind of learn how you can participate. But I think it's really cool that a bride's walking in, finding their dream dress, but also making a very positive impact while doing so. I think it's a really feel-good thing. Rebecca, you hit it on the head. I mean, Gen Z, I think you call them Zillennials. I haven't heard that, but Zillennials it's more important. Things like, making a positive impact, sustainability. These are topics that are really important. So I think it's great that it's something like a trunk show that doesn't normally have like a feel-good component about it, other than the feel-good moment of finding your dream dress. But it's awesome that, we're able to give back for an event like that. In addition to those things, we've made a commitment and a goal to set to raise $100,000 over the next 12 months as an organization. So we're super excited about that. And a micro piece of that is over the next quarter, we're looking to raise $25,000 as well. One of the ways we're looking to do that is we're doing a company-wide fundraiser, which we're after this meeting, we're going to be sharing with all of our employees that we're going to be doing a sponsored silence on October 15th, where in advance of that sponsored silence, employees will be raising money for VOW for Girls by communicating with friends and families through social media, email, however. And again, for several hours during that day, we will not be speaking in solidarity with those that are not fortunate enough to have a voice and be able to make decisions. So it's something that try to put ourselves in the shoes of those that are less fortunate than us. If our team members are, if they're committed to this fundraiser and they end up speaking during that time, they themselves also need to make a donation. But the point is to also raise awareness about these important issues, raise funds, and do some good here as a company. So, I encourage bridal shops also consider or think of different fundraisers that are similar, or even participate in ours and join us in solidarity, raising funds for our VOW for Girls event on the 15th. But again, we're hoping to raise $25,000 over the next few months with this fundraiser, as well as the Justin Alexander Signature Fall Winter 22 launch and trunk shows as well. So we're super excited, and we're continuing to try to brainstorm with Clay and this team here to kind of come up with ways where we can make a positive difference.
Love it.
So just following up on that, what else, Clay, can you maybe answer what else can those watching easily do to support VOW and your mission? And maybe you can talk through a little bit about your goals for 2022.
Yeah, definitely. So happy to talk to that. So one immediate thing that you can do is take part in the campaign that Justin mentioned a few minutes ago for International Day of the Girl. You might not know, but Monday, October 11 is International Day of the Girl. It's like a global day to celebrate the power and the potential of girls. We have this great campaign called Stop the Clock to help raise awareness of this work and also raise money at the same time. Justin is so kindly, along with some other partners, pledging $1 for every like, comment, or share on the campaign, up to 100,000 US dollars. And that campaign is going on right now, runs through Monday. Go to @VOW4Girls or Justin Alexander on any social media platform. You'll see the campaign there. We welcome your involvement to help spread the word. And then beyond that, like, you know, we've had a couple of really amazing years as a really new and young organization, right? Like we have a growing community of people, more and more passionate, I feel like, every single day around this issue. And that's what we're really leaning into this coming year, right? Like we want to work with more couples who are about to celebrate their own love. We want to work with more wedding professionals of all kinds from all around the world. And we want to work with all sorts of brands who want to celebrate and support girls. And you know, we welcome your ideas, your involvement, your connections, your donations, your time, however you want to get involved. Like reach out. I'd love to work with you, and you know, together we can have this massive impact for girls and celebrate this amazing work that Fanta is leading.
Excellent. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you, Justin.
Are there any questions or comments that anyone from the audience has on how they might be able to get involved, or anything that we can answer? I want to thank, personally, I want to thank Fanta, Rebecca, and Clay, you know, for convening today and sharing this amazing information. This video was recorded, so we can share this with you. If you wanted to share this with anyone else, any of the participants, we'll send it out post webinar. And again, thank you so much for all the amazing work you guys are doing. And I'm so excited to hear some of the comments in the chat about everyone wanting to get more involved and help this powerful work we're doing. So thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. Take care. We'll speak soon.
Have a great night.
Bye.